When Porsche decided in 2016 to unify the Boxster and Cayman under a single nameplate, the move sparked a wave of mixed emotions among enthusiasts. The change wasn't merely about marketing, it marked the end of an era. The signature flat-six engines, once the soul of these mid-engine sports cars, were replaced by turbocharged flat-fours. For many purists, this shift seemed almost sacrilegious, a betrayal of the sound and soul that had defined Porsche for decades. Yet behind that controversial decision lay a deep sense of heritage. Porsche wasn't just looking forward, it was looking back. The new name, 718, was more than a badge. It was a resurrection of a legend born nearly 60 years earlier. Back in the late 1950s, long before the Cayman or Boxster ever existed, the name 718 was already etched into racing history. Porsche had built it as the successor to the mighty 550 Spider, the car that had put the company on the motorsport map. The 718 wasn't conceived for glamour or comfort. It was a pure racing machine, honed for one purpose only, to win. Every bolt, every curve, and every gram of aluminum served that single-minded goal. It was lighter, sharper, and more aerodynamic than its predecessor, a refined weapon forged from experience on the track. Its first test came at the 1957 24 Hours of Le Mans. The debut ended prematurely when driver Umberto Maglioli suffered an accident that forced the car to retire early, but Porsche's engineers were undeterred. They went back to Stuttgart, studied their data, and came back with a stronger, more refined version. A year later, in 1958, two 718 RSKs returned to the Sartre circuit and delivered an astonishing performance, finishing third and fourth overall. It was a statement from a small German manufacturer that refused to be intimidated by giants like Ferrari and Aston Martin. That same year, another RSK took second place at the Targa Florio, one of the most grueling road races in Europe, where narrow mountain passes tested not only mechanical endurance but also the courage of drivers. By 1959, the 718 had evolved into a championship-winning machine. That year, it captured the Targa Florio outright and claimed the European Hill Climb Championship, dominating steep alpine roads with a level of agility that few competitors could match. Victories continued to come in waves. Another Targa Florio win in 1960, a class victory at Le Mans in 1961 with the 718/4 RS Spider, and yet another triumph in 1963 when the GTR Coupe crossed the finish line first. Even when Porsche entered the single-seat variant into Formula 2 and Formula 1, the car remained competitive. Though it never claimed a Grand Prix victory, it secured 2 second-place finishes and enough points to give Porsche third place in the 1961 Formula 1 Championship, behind only Ferrari and Lotus. What made the 718 truly exceptional wasn't just its record, but the engineering philosophy behind it. At its heart lay the Type 547/3 quad-cam flat-4 engine, an intricate piece of machinery that bordered on artistry. Displacing a mere 1.5 liters, it produced 142 horsepower, an extraordinary figure at the time, and delivered its power with the kind of precision and reliability that became synonymous with Porsche engineering. Mated to a 5-speed manual gearbox and wrapped in a chassis that weighed only 570 kilograms, the 718 was featherlight and perfectly balanced. It could dart through corners like a scalpel and accelerate with the eager punch of a car that seemed alive under the driver's hands. Every part of it reflected the spirit of Porsche: efficiency, focus, and perfection through minimalism. Among the limited run of these machines, one stands out as a particularly rare and fascinating example. Chassis number 718-028. Completed in April 1959, this RSK was delivered to Belgian privateer Christian Goethals, who quickly made his mark in both local and international racing. Goethals drove the car to multiple victories across Europe, including a respectable 6th-place finish at the Buenos Aires 1,000 km Grand Prix, an impressive result for a private entry against factory-backed teams. Later, he commissioned Porsche to install a 1.6-liter flat-4 engine, seeking more torque and flexibility for different types of competition. When Goethals eventually sold the car, it made its way across the Atlantic to Carmelo Giuffre in the United States, beginning a new chapter in its storied life. Even after more than 6 decades, Standing before a 1959 Porsche 718 RSK is like peering into the blueprint of Porsche's soul. Its proportions are perfect in their simplicity, short, low, and purposeful. Every curve sculpted not by style committees but by the relentless pursuit of aerodynamic efficiency. There's no excess, no flourish. The car seems to hum even while standing still, like a caged animal aware of its own potential. The small grille openings, the delicate fenders, the tapering tail, they all speak a language of speed that predates computers and wind tunnels. This was an era when performance was born out of intuition, not simulation. To run a 718 RSK is to experience a kind of mechanical honesty that modern machines can rarely offer. There is no electronic mediation, no layers of software between driver and machine. The steering is unassisted, pure and communicative, sending every ripple of the tarmac into your fingertips. The pedals are heavy and deliberate. The gearbox, a 5-speed manual with tight ratios, demands precision and patience, but when you get it right, it rewards you with a fluid mechanical rhythm, a dance between man and machine. The exhaust note from that 1.5-liter flat 4 isn't loud by modern standards, but it's sharp, raspy, and alive. A chorus of valves and cams singing a note of defiance from an era that believed in craftsmanship above all else. What makes cars like this timeless isn't merely the way they perform, but the stories they carry. Chassis 718-028, for instance, is more than a serial number. It's a narrative thread woven through decades of racing history. Every scar on its aluminum body tells of battles fought on circuits long since transformed by modernity. Imagine Goethals racing through the misty mountains of Sicily at the Targa Florio, or the sun-baked straits of Buenos Aires, gripping that thin wooden steering wheel, the tachometer needle dancing just below redline. These weren't just races, they were tests of endurance, bravery, and mechanical resilience, fought by men who trusted their machines with their lives. The 718 RSK existed in a transitional period of motorsport, a time when racing was evolving from gentlemanly competition to professional warfare. Porsche's engineers, led by men like Wilhelm Hilde, Klaus von Rucker, and of course Ernst Fuhrmann, who designed the quad-cam engine, understood that the future belonged to efficiency and balance, not brute strength. The 718 embodied that philosophy perfectly. It didn't need massive displacement or a thunderous soundtrack to win. It relied on precision, on lightness, on the kind of engineering that made every component serve a purpose. In a world of V12 Ferraris and thundering Maseratis, the little Porsche from Stuttgart quietly and methodically rewrote the rules. Collectors today often speak of provenance and originality, but the RSK transcends both. It's not merely a rare artifact. It's a living expression of what Porsche stood for. That's what makes chassis 718-028 so magnetic. The fact that it can convert between single-seat and two-seat configurations makes it not only technically fascinating but also symbolically fitting. A car designed for adaptability, a concept Porsche has championed ever since. It's easy to imagine Ferry Porsche himself nodding in approval at such ingenuity. And then there's the emotional resonance. To see an RSK start up today, with that distinct clatter of valves and the subtle vibration of the flat 4 as it settles into idle, is to witness history in motion. It's a sensory bridge to the past. The smell of warm oil, the faint shimmer of heat from the exhaust, the metallic click of the gear lever sliding into first. The car doesn't just transport its driver through space. It carries them through time. Every drive is a reenactment, every corner an echo of Maglioli, Goethals, and countless other drivers who once trusted their lives to these machines. There's also an undeniable irony that in today's world of advanced materials and hybrid powertrains, Porsche's current 718 models are still, in spirit, chasing the same ideals as their 1950s ancestor. The focus remains on balance, agility, and driving purity, even if the engines now hum with turbocharged precision instead of mechanical fury. Critics may lament the loss of the flat 6, but the connection between past and present is clear. The badge on the rear of a modern 718 Boxster or Cayman isn't just nostalgia. It's a promise that Porsche still values what the original stood for: lightweight performance, feedback, and joy. That continuity is what makes the RSK more than just a collectible. It's a reminder that progress doesn't always mean abandoning the past. The engineers of 1959 built the 718 with slide rules and passion, not computer models, yet their principles remain timeless. Weight distribution, mechanical grip, and aerodynamic efficiency are still the foundation of every Porsche that leaves Zuffenhausen today. As the Monterey auction approaches, the anticipation surrounding chassis 718-028 grows. Collectors and historians will gather, watching closely as the car rolls under the lights, its polished aluminum gleaming, the faint scent of racing fuel lingering in the air. The auctioneer will recount its history, the victories, the restorations, the rare convertible cockpit, and then the bidding will begin. Each raised paddle will represent not just money, but reverence, a recognition of what this car symbolizes. Some will see it as an investment, others as a piece of living art. But for true enthusiasts, it's something deeper, a physical embodiment of Porsche's relentless spirit. Whether or not the car meets its reserve this time, its value goes beyond numbers. Its legacy is untouchable, written into the DNA of every Porsche that has followed. The 718 RSK isn't merely a machine that once raced. It's a philosophy on wheels, a distillation of engineering purity that still humbles the modern world. Watching it idle, hearing that compact flat-four breathing through its dual pipes, one can't help but feel awe, not just for what it is, but for what it represents. And so, as the modern 718s carve through winding mountain roads and racetracks across the globe, the name continues to live on, not as a marketing exercise, but as an homage to the car that defined Porsche's identity. In every rev of the new turbocharged flat-four, there's an echo of the 1959 RSK sprinting down the Mulsanne Straight, its aluminum body glinting under the Le Mans lights. The world has changed, technology has evolved, but the essence remains the same. Porsche still builds cars for those who understand that driving is more than transportation. It's connection, it's art, and its legacy. To own a 1959 Porsche 718 RSK is to possess not just a car, but a heartbeat from the golden age of motorsport. It's a machine that has outlived its era, outshined its rivals, and outlasted its critics. And though time moves on, the spirit of the 718 never fades, because true legends never die. In America, the car found its way into the hands of Rick Grant, a devoted collector and vintage racer. Grant understood what the RSK represented, not just a race car, but a living link to Porsche's golden age. He painstakingly restored it to its original glory and campaigned it in over 100 historic racing events, always treating it as something more than just a machine. Over 6 decades after it first left the factory, the car remains astonishingly fresh, its aluminum body gleaming, its heart still beating with the rhythm of a bygone era. Under its rear deck sits a Type 547/3 flat-four engine installed by Porsche in 1961, recently rebuilt by the legendary quad-cam specialist Bill Doyle, ensuring that the car not only looks but performs exactly as it did in its prime. But what truly sets 718-028 apart from its siblings is its unique versatility. Unlike most race cars, which are fixed in a single configuration, this particular RSK can transform. In a matter of hours, it can be converted from a center seat layout, used for maximum aerodynamic efficiency, to a conventional left-hand drive, 2-seat configuration. It's a marvel of adaptable engineering, making it eligible for a wide range of vintage racing events around the world. Only 4 examples were ever built with this dual setup, and of those, this one may be the best preserved of all. Adding to its appeal is a remarkable bonus: a spare Furman Porsche Carrera quad-cam racing engine, included as part of its provenance. It's a rare opportunity for collectors, a car that can be driven and raced without ever compromising the originality of its historic power plant. Naturally, a piece of Porsche history this rare doesn't come cheap. When it crosses the block at Mecum's Monterey 2025 auction, it is expected to fetch between $3.3 and $3.7 million. If it meets the upper estimate, it would become the second most expensive 718 RSK ever sold, just behind the record-breaking $4.3 million sale achieved in 2023. Interestingly, this isn't the first time the car has sought a new owner. It failed to meet reserve at last year's Monterey auction, where bidding peaked at $3.2 million, and again earlier this year at Kissimmee, where it reached $2.5 million. For now, the car remains with its current custodian, awaiting a collector who understands its legacy, and perhaps who values its story as much as its engineering. More than 6 decades after its creation, the 718 RSK remains a defining chapter in Porsche's history. It represents the turning point when the company evolved from a small manufacturer of lightweight sports cars into a world-class racing powerhouse. Every modern Porsche, from the mid-engine Cayman GT4 to the hybrid Le Mans winning prototypes, carries a fragment of its DNA. The 718 was never about brute force or excess. It was about harmony, balance, and the art of doing more with less. That philosophy continues to shape every car that wears the Porsche crest today. The next time someone questions why Porsche chose to name its modern roadster the 718, the answer lies here. It's a tribute not just to the car's performance, but to the spirit behind it. The modern turbocharged flat 4 may sound different, but its essence is the same. A compact, efficient, and agile machine that channels decades of engineering brilliance. The echo of the past still lingers in every corner of its design, in every gear change, and in every curve it devours. The 1959 Porsche 718 RSK isn't just a car. It's a piece of Porsche's soul, a bridge between eras, and a timeless reminder that true greatness never fades.